Good evening, and welcome to the series premiere of Codename Phantom, a new web series dedicated to featuring the legends and lore of Michigan. My name is Alexandria Harris, and I will be your hostess through your journey of Michigan's more mysterious side. We begin with a story set in Flint, a city with a long history of manual labor with undeniable ties to the auto industry of the United States. Tonight, we share a tale of a murder house in this fair and storied city. The following encounter comes from a man we call Bob. Bob is a kind gentleman with a lot of knowledge of the city in which he's lived all his life. He was happy to share the tale, even if it frightens him, to this very day. We've disguised his real name, appearance, and voice to protect him and his family.
My family and I were living in a house on Cecil Drive in Flint, right off Carpenter Road. Not a very good part of town, especially in the early 90s. I never liked that house to begin with. I hated that house. I never liked it. I always got a weird feeling from the house, like something was off about the house. We stayed in that house up until '95. I remember seeing glasses, plates, and dishes literally lifting off the table and falling onto the ground. They wouldn't fall so much as float.
Bob details one such occurrence with the dishes.
I went into the kitchen and I opened up the fridge and the dishes were in the dish rack in the sink. I opened the fridge. And I walked out, and I heard a noise like glasses clinking. I went back in there to see what it was, and the dishes had moved from the sink onto the counter. No one was in there to have moved them. Another time I was watching TV. And I heard a noise like a doorknob. I didn't know what it was. I kept watching TV. And later when I walked into the hallway, I noticed the door in the bathroom had been closed. And once again, no one was around to have closed it. And the funny thing was, all this stuff started happening after we remodeled that bathroom.
Well, the first time I ever really noticed anything weird is I was in working on the bathroom. And, you know, I'm doing what I got to do to straighten the place up a little bit. And all of a sudden, the door just slammed shut. Nothing like that's ever happened in this house before. Later on, we found out that there was a woman killed in the bathroom. So, I don't know if you can connect the two, but it sure is an odd coincidence.
I remember one year for Christmas, there were a bunch of toys that required batteries. And mind you, this was in a time when there was no such thing as demo play with toys. Well, one day the toys just all started moving and coming to life. And they didn't have any batteries. Bob! This toy is moving on its own. This is weird. There were never any batteries in these toys. Couldn't believe it.
Floating dinnerware? Toys with a life of their own? Perhaps the spirits were merely playful. If so, then how do you explain what happened to Bob's uncle as he was repairing the battered stairs leading into the basement?
I was working down on the basement stairs, and you know how you get that feeling like there's somebody watching you from behind or staring at you? Well, I felt like that the whole time I was working down there. Finally, I turned around to look, and there was this Jeep coming after me. There was nobody else in the basement to turn this toy on or push it. It scared the hell out of me. I threw my hammer at it and I ran back upstairs. This house is haunted.
A few months later, my aunt was living there. My aunts and uncles were living there with us. The house became the place the whole family gathered. All of a sudden, all across the ceiling, now mind you, this was a sunny afternoon with no rain or nothing, water began falling from the ceiling, just out of the blue. There was no rain, no attic, we weren't playing with the water, nothing. It rained inside this room for a good 5 minutes, and then it quit. And when I say it quit, I meant the water, when it hit the floor, it would instantly dry. It was bizarre.
That time that it rained here in the house, there was an overwhelming sense of sadness. I always wondered if it was that woman, the woman that died here. I wondered if it was her making it rain, if that was her way of crying in the house.
Bob and his family moved soon after this incident, perhaps rightly so.
While we were moving stuff out, my uncle was helping my mom move the washer. Well, underneath the washer hadn't been moved for a good 10 years or so, down in the basement, and they hadn't moved it for some time. When they moved the washing machine, there was a pool of almost like blood. It was a black type substance. It wasn't water. It wasn't runoff from the washing machine. This goo, they tried mopping it up, but they couldn't. I remember I was upstairs and I came down to see, and I can't explain what the stuff was. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, it was just black, like a jelly-like substance. Basically, once the washer was moved, we got the hell out of there.
We couldn't understand what this black substance was. It had a really foul odor, and it looked very much like black blood just pooling there on the basement floor. Where it came from, we never could figure out.
It's blood.
What is going on?
I have no idea. But
Are you
that's
sure it's not
definitely
oil?
blood. No, this is blood.
Then we need to call the police if there's blood. Where did it come from?
I don't know. It's an awful big pool of blood, though.
Yeah?
I learned something about the house after we moved out. There was a woman that lived in the house back in the 60s or early 70s. She was murdered in that house by her husband. He shot her to death in the bathtub. Then he took her body down in the basement and left her there basically for days on end.
Thank you for watching Codename Phantom. My name is Alexandria Harris. Until next time, good evening.